What's up guys, Nightingale here and welcome back to the Intermediate Traveler's Guide. Today I'm bringing you an advanced version of Azimanak 13 and this is one of those hunts that I just say suck. It's a pain no matter how we look at it. Now, why did I decide to call this advanced Azimanak 13 is because I'm technically using higher end gear that new players won't have, but if you're not wanting to do one-shots, it's kind of some benchmarks of where you want to go. I thought about putting this series of videos inside of the Adventurer's Black Book, but I felt like it more belonged here inside of the Intermediate Traveler's Guide. So, with that being said, the teams are the same, the gearing will be different. Okay, so let's jump in and we're going to start talking about the units itself. So, here we go. We have, we're going to be using Adventurer Roz, Tamarin, Lulika, and Arbiter Vildred. Now, if you have Green Vildred and leveled up and are actively using Green Vildred is probably more the best in slot unit here, but my thought and my process of this is use what you have when you have it. Most of you are going to be rolling and have used Arbiter Vildred along the way. So he should be built and he will do the job. Will he be doing the job as well as other units? No, but he will do the job. So we'll talk about Arby when we get to him. First off, let's start with Roz. Now, Roz is here for a couple of reasons. And what we're wanting to do here with Roz is basically help take some damage away, keep up some defensive buffs, be able to have an ability to strip and to potentially defense break. So we want him tanky enough, and also, there's a lot of value here, and bring along the highest attacker, which can determine if Arby has, who has attack buff will determine who actually ends up with this. It's not guaranteed one way. So I put Roz on some different gear than he normally has. I think mine's currently on like Revenge something another, but I wanted to get effectiveness, ER. I tried to get a little bit of everything to help make Roz a little bit better. So this is kind of more the baseline of where you want to go. You can debate whether you want Tamarin to go first or Roz to go first. It didn't really matter for me, and the speed really was kind of just secondhand. I just know I don't want Roz to be dirt slow, and I don't want Roz to be lightning fast here because I felt like I'd lose too much bulk. Now I decided to run with Arius, and the reason for this is because I wanted to have damage share and increase their defense, because again I'm trying to synergize thinking defense, since Arius will increase everybody's defense by 10% to all allies. Not only will Lulika bring a defense buff, but so will Roz, so as long as one of the buffs is up, we're having increased defense. So if we look right here, he's got 70 ER, which is cool. He should resist some, but he's not going to resist everything. We've got the magic number of at least 65 effectiveness here, but I decided to go 85 because I wanted to get just more. We don't care about those stats right here. He's 200 speed, 26,000 HP. This is probably the second highest HP I've had my Roz at. I've also had Roz normally at over 2,000 defense. So that kind of feels weird. But hey, we're on Arius, not Adamant or Proof of Valor or anything like that. So with Roz, it's a 3-star. Plus 15, we don't need to talk about skills and level ups and stuff like that. He's here for, again, extra attack. He's here for the defense buff. He's here for the potential strip, the defense break, or a backup defense break, however you want to look at it. Okay, next up. This looks so good. This feels so good to be able to do this again. Hey, Tamarin's not on trash gear again. Now, if you're like, again, yeah, go watch the Katie's 13 and you see my excitement once again. That she is not on trash gear. So here, my thought with Tamarin is attack buff, consistent attack buff, and the potential strip, the extra attack, as well as cleansing, healing, and that's why I put her on Potion Vial, is to have a chance to dispel another buff. So, unfortunately here, I don't want to level this up any further, just because I don't use Potion Vial that often, or in most of my PvE content, I don't need Potion Vial leveled up. You may have a plus 30 already, great, it works wonders, do so. Now, Tamarin is a little more cracked than normal. I didn't care about the ER stat, which you'll see right here, but we do have effectiveness. We don't care about those stats, but yes, Tamarin is at 232 speed. This is the fastest my Tamarin has ever been. I think like 205 or 210 was like the fastest I had her at one point on dumpster gear. But hey, look, those numbers right there look really good, right? Yeah, for once she's not sitting here with plus 12 this, plus 6 this, a random piece of gear here. You know, this Tamarin's actually looking good. Now, here's why I wanted Tamarin faster. I want her to cycle as much as possible because while she's in idle form, she has a chance of stripping and bringing an extra attacker. Plus, just getting more chances around at the heals and more chances of stripping off some debuffs, so I wanted Tamarin a little faster than normal. Heck, I even went out to the thought of potentially looking at Revenge for this, but I was like, I'll just see what Fribble says, and here we go. So this kind of got it in a ballpark of kind of where I wanted to have a Tamarin for Azimanak 13. Now, could you use this Tamarin in that Katie's team? Probably. I would probably trust this. It would do well. But I would change, again, Potion Vial to Celestine for that point. Other than that, Tamarin skills, we shouldn't have this conversation. She has to be Friendship 10, and you don't level this, but you level the others. There, done. Tamarin. Okay, now, probably the most important unit for this team is Luluka, and here's why. Luluka is going to be your consistent damage here, but also your consistent strip. Now, stripping is important here is because of the Berserk Rage buff. You want to make sure that stays off Azimanak at all times. It is an annoying buff, and especially since you're not one-shotting it, it's something you have to consider. So in this case, we're running Violin for an 80% chance to Dispel. Now, I've seen some people mention using Spectre Tenebria. I'll tell you this, Spectre Tenebria is a good option, but Luluka is a better option. AoE, and she has a exclusive equipment which allows her to attack twice. Well, with a potential chance to attack twice. The usual Luluka story. So as far as stats, and we'll talk about the skills, here we go. We got minimum, because I tried to bake in as much as I could here. Because not only was I trying to get damage, crit chance, absolutely mandatory. I also was trying to get her faster, which is key here. Then also getting some bulk up here. So you're probably like, well, 11,000 isn't a lot of bulk. You're right, but hey, I got 1,300 defense and still have 3,775 attack on all of this. So hey, you have to make cuts. Also, notice that penetration. I don't have a lot of penetration gear. That's rolled really well for like a debuff for damage dealers. So we have to take cuts where we can and do what we can. I could make her an absolute nuke, as you guys have seen. If you've watched some of the other videos, we can make her hit absolutely like a nuclear bomb. But in this case, she's consistent damage. And that's really the thing about this one, is it's gonna suck, and you're not gonna be able to truly nuke this thing in any shape, form. But it's safe. That's the goal here, is this team is safe. So, again, exclusive equipment. The only one that exists is number 2. 1 and 3 do not exist for her. Your mileage may vary. And then skills. The big thing here that you need to know is Wave of Vengeance. I would recommend maxed out because, hey, more damage is better, but at least have the cooldown. You at least want to have the cooldown of the barrier and the defense buff, just again to protect you along the way. And max S1 at absolute minimum. You need to make sure this is maxed out because this is where your damage is going to come from, as well as the, your strip's going to be here. So you want this cycling as much as possible. So if Roz pulls her or Tamarin pulls her, this is where most of your damage will come from. And I'll show you the damage dealing at the end. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Arbiter Vildred, most people's Moonlight connection. Now, let me state this now. When I last ran this, Arby was built better. But the goal of this video is to use your Arby exactly how he's built. I could have built out a god tier Arby, but I don't use a god tier Arby in my daily grind. So the goal here is to use the Arby you use for your farmer and say, screw it. The minimum amount of effort that you've got into it is gonna go here. Now, sure, you're looking at a level 30 Alexis basket, and you're looking at immunity and speed gear. We'll get into his stats in a second. But the concept here is that I'm just going to chuck in my Arby. I'm not going to put Daydream Joker on, which you can. If you want to go that extra mile, Daydream Joker is definitely an option here. But my thought process is, I'm just going to use my farming Arby. Now, if you have Green Vildred, he's definitely a better option, and obviously Daydream Joker would be advised. So let's talk about his stats, and I'll tell you how you can improve this. Obviously, we don't care about those stats. The only stats that matter is crit damage, crit chance, and his speed, and the attack at the top. So, if you guys have been following around for quite a long time, you guys, or if not, if you go watch my, I think, 100-day video, you will see that I flex, I think, a 255 speed RB. Yeah. My day one RB was about 245. The next day, I think I accidentally crept it up to 255 trying to get more damage. I got more speed, not damage. Over time, that gear went off to other people. And what I ended up doing is eventually got to the point where I don't really use RB in PvP. Not because he's unreliable, not because of the meta, it's just because I would find myself wanting to go with other units. Just because I liked playing with them. I felt like I used RB enough in a lot of other places that I just didn't want to force him through or find a team to make him work. Do I still use him in PvP? Yes, absolutely. Even at this level of trash, I will still take him in. Is this better than probably some of your beginning RBs? Absolutely. And I'm sorry that I'm calling it trash. But for me, I've had better. My best RB was, I think, 239 speed, 4,000 attack, and I think 260 crit damage with 100% crit chance. So I've had a lot better RBs, but their gear went to other places. So in this case, we're going to be using this. Is it going to be a little slower than normal? Yes. But that's okay. The point is to use it and still show you how safe and successful the team is. So let's jump in. I'm going to walk you through this. It sucks. But I will say this. The one shot almost sucks worse. Go watch that video in the Adventurer's Black Book if you want to see why. Now, there's a lot of mechanics here. There's a lot of RNG. Azimanak is just one of those things. Just please get me out as soon as possible. Get your rage sets. Immunity is dead as of February 2022. Everybody and their mother rolls. Buffs back by 1 duration. They just straight up strip. They can ignore ER strips. I mean, there's just all sorts of crap out there. So at this point, immunity is kind of a dead set. The people that are still really promoting it are people who spend a lot of time grinding it. And they're like, an extra 15%. Okay. Okay. Yep. Extra 15%. I'd rather have extra 20% health or defense or penetration or something else at this point. Until they buff it, don't worry about sitting here for immunity forever. You're after your rage sets. Unity maybe might be cool if they buff it. We'll see what happens with this gear stuff. So, alright. Now that we've gone through wave 1, which is basically just wait till everything AoE dies, the big thing that we need to make sure that we note here is AoEs. Now, the issue with this team is the timing of the AoEs. You will probably have the defense buff up a good bit, and this is a greater defense buff if I remember correctly. Let's see here, where is it? Yeah, it's 80% damage, decreases damage suffered by single attacks by 80% while this buff is up. It's really annoying. But it's going to be something that you just kind of can't work around. Now, yes, could you use Landy? Could you use something else? Absolutely, you probably could. I wanted to use this because this was my original team. I didn't have Landy when I initially started it. Would Landy probably be a better option here at this point? Maybe. But I'm trying to show this with my team because that's what most people have been asking. What did I use? Well, this is what I used. Not everybody's going to have access to Landy. Everybody has access to RB. It's just did they choose it or not. So, there we go. Luluka's a normal summon, Tamarin's a normal summon, and everybody starts with Adventurer, well, Roz, and then turns him into Adventurer Roz. So, the mechanics here that you really need to watch out for is the Berserk buff and the normal buff. Now, here's why I kind of like having Gab, is because occasionally when it's there, it does damage. When it's not there, it doesn't exist. So, this is what I mean by the timing. I'm using both AoEs right before she's about to summon the two ads. It's annoying, you just can't get around it, but typically, RB does the job. As long as RB has attack buff, I believe he is able to kill both of them. I didn't test this long enough to make sure that I saw all variations. I've seen the Gab variation. I'm pretty sure I've seen the normal attack buff. I know he can't kill them with normal, just no buffs. He will take 2 turns for that. And, okay, he killed that one, but I don't know if he had hit that one before. When I last paid attention to a few runs ago, it didn't kill one. It left it like at a little bit of health. So we might have chipped that one. So Luluka here and Roz here are the big reasons you have stripping ability. So there we go. We just saw Violin remove it. Tamarin's here to remove. The Potion Vial helps with getting debuffs off. It's not the shortest run in the world. I've definitely done it faster with, you know, more gear. But this is about the same pace that mine was on. It's just one of these hunts that suck. I hate to say it. But I will take the more consistent version of this almost any day than the RNG of, really? We left it at absolutely no health? That's amazing. And that's also why you want Luluka. Okay. So this is what I wanted to show you guys, which is the end damage results. Here we go. Now, Arby is your consistent doing tons and tons and tons of damage. Then you've got Roz down here trying to get in on it. You've got Luluka coming in doing consistent chip damage. Now, this doesn't look as impressive as you may think, but if you think about what Luluka's actually doing here, this is actually pretty decent damage overall. Considering you're having to deal with a defense buff throughout most of it that reduces single target attacks. I believe personally, if you had the Vildred version, this would balance out a little bit more and your runs would speed up. I'm trying to avoid basically saying level up Vildred just for a hunt. I have green Vildred, but I'm not going to level him up until I can get him to be a speed imprint or until I can get the spare moles just to build him. I can't justify building him for anything right now because of the content that we have. I don't see any use for him because I have Arbiter Vildred. But the distinctions between the two kits will make up for it because if you kill one, he's going to spark his passive, which will allow you to kill another monster, be able to kill the other ad instantaneously versus needing two AoEs, which does technically make green Vildred better for this. But in the case of using what you have, this actually isn't bad. What I meant by consistent chip damage is for what you had to deal with, almost 80k is not bad considering you went through a 80% reduction. So overall, it's a safe hunt. You saw I was in no danger of dying at any point or whatsoever. It's not like I was going to wipe out. The gear is technically a little bit better than the average beginner can get a hold of. The concept still works, though, for beginners that are still watching this. You just need to work on your gear, get it set up. This team will work on less gear, but the goal of this being the advanced version is this is higher end gear that new players won't have access to, that veterans want to use to farm this hunt that don't want a one-shot. So here we go again. If you guys have any questions, I'll try to help out the best I can in the comments below. Obviously, there's going to be people who have opinions on what is better and what is worse here, but this is what I used for up till the point I built my Azimanak one-shot. I will also admit here at the end of the video that I have also retired my Azimanak one-shot. While 3 of the units are still built, I did retire Celestial Mercedes because I just don't find any value right now in Azimanak since I farmed out all 3 for kind of almost 5 rage sets. So I'll help out where I can. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.